All right. Welcome back to another live stream, guy. Excuse me, guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and wait for people to get into the chat here, and we're going to see what people want to create today. Today is kind of a free-for-all. We can pretty much do whatever it is that we want to do. As long as I can figure it out, we're going to make it. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. You also might hear some music in the background. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. There we go. Just a little bit of subtle music. How's everybody doing today? Awesome. Go ahead and drop something in the chat here. Let us know how you're doing. Hello and welcome. Awesome. All right. So this is something we were working on a couple of, or was it a couple days ago, or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. We were working on this plush animation, sort of just this little Suzanne kind of plush with this fuzz on the outside. We were kind of working with the fuzz. We were working with this kind of like knitting texture that Blender has built in, and then we made some buttons for the eyes with some threads holding them in. So this was a fun one. This is definitely something that like I wanted to go over because a lot of people were asking like how do you achieve that kind of like style, and we talked about lighting, we talked about materials. There was a whole lot that we went into. Any easier way to create PCB circuits? Oh, actually, you know what's funny? I actually, an easier way, like an easier way to create it based on like an image, or is it are you just asking like modeling from scratch? Because we can do either one. We'll kind of just jump into this with everybody's comments. We're going to kind of collect some ideas that you guys have and go from there. Thanks for looking at my binoculars. Might there be another critique video? Yeah, we could probably do another few critiques today. I think I'm also going to probably model something or create something using like geometry nodes or something like that. But we can definitely look at like PCB design. So let me go ahead, look up PCB board. There we go. Yeah, let's take a look here. Let's see what they look like. Yeah, okay, so there's a lot of different components. So one of the things I would say if you're designing something like this is like design all the individual components and then somehow randomly distribute them throughout your scene, I think is what I would probably do. Yeah, this is cool. Oh, yeah, you could definitely do something like this. Oh, man. We could try to make something like procedural like this, maybe with geometry nodes, perhaps. The hardest part would be these lines, these kind of like geometric lines that go all over the place, because you kind of have to decide, okay, are they going to connect together? Are they not going to connect together? And kind of like, how do they do that? Oh, it's so cool looking, though. I'll tell you what, this would be a really cool project to work on, though. But yeah, with PCB boards, there's a lot of different things you can do. If you have like an image, that's going to help you a lot. Like if I have an image to work with, for example, like this image right here, if I save this, I'll show you something cool we can do here. Go ahead and open up a new file. All right, so in a new file, I can go ahead and delete everything. I am going to just simply add an image mesh plane. I will search for my mesh plane in my downloads folder. There it is, and here it is right here. We'll go to shading, and I'll show you guys something really cool we can do. So really already we kind of have the board right there. It is right there, pretty easy. There's a lot we can do here. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I am going to subdivide this like crazy, like 100 times, maybe even 200 times. Sorry, maybe like 150. It's not going to let me do it anymore. There we go. That's perfect. All right, perfect. So we have a bunch of subdivisions on this. We're going to use that with displacement. So I'm going to go ahead and add a displacement real quick. I'll click on new. We'll go here. We'll choose our image, which of course is the same image we had from before. All right, and then what I'll do is I'll just dumb it down a bunch, 0.01, something like that. Probably even, let me see. Actually, that looks good. We'll just shade auto smooth. Maybe even 0.02. Let me see. That might be a little bit too much. Now, since this is a high quality image, look, we already have that surface texture just based on the actual displacement itself. So when we go to our material preview, you can already kind of see that coming through. Is the displacement incorrect? Shouldn't be. It should be correct. Hold on. Let me see something. Let's do non-color. There we go. I think the displacement is off. Hold on. Something's off about it. It's a single image. Yep. Non-color. Single image. Yep. Non-color. Oh, here we go. Mapping. Actually, let's do extend and see what it looks like. Extend now. I want to do, I don't want repeat. That's weird. It's not doing what I wanted it to do. All right, we'll do this a slightly different way. All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take all this. All right, we're going to use displacement in a different way. Someone said, hello, how are you? And welcome to the live stream today. I think what we'll do for this one is I am just going to go ahead and take the same exact thing that we had right here. And you go ahead and plug it into the bump height specifically. Plug that into the normal. You don't really see too much at first. There you go. You can adjust the distance here. There we go. So now when I go into rendered view, if we add a HDRI in here, we go to our HDRIs, I'll just add in a random one. You can kind of see like a little bit better that there's actual like displacement going on there, right? All right. Now what we'll do is we'll use a color ramp and we'll feed that black and white color data in there. And we can kind of zoom in and kind of see what this looks like. You can kind of adjust the actual like intensity right here. That looks pretty good. I feel like that looks good. I'm pretty happy with that. And what's cool is you can now plug this into the roughness as well. So now what we have, if we go to our rendered view, is we have something that looks kind of like this, right? Give it some metallic. Now we have something that's glossy and we're feeding in, see how we're feeding in the roughness data into that? So now check this out. We'll go to cycles, GPU. Now look what we have, right? Look at that. Right, and then if you want to flip the roughness, I guess which side would be rough? Would it be the other side? Let me double check online. But you kind of get the basic idea. I got to see which side would be the rough side and which side would be glossy. I guess one would be a little bit lighter. No, the glossy side would be the underneath. And then if you want, you can replace the top with something else. So check this out, ready? This is where it gets really interesting. So now you have like the part that's glossy and the part that's not. You can also go ahead and you can do this. You can plug it in here, and then instead of black, you could choose the color. So you could do, I don't know, green here, maybe like a light green. And then for this guy, you could do like your gold, right? If you wanted the top to be gold. You could do constant too. It could be like this. Look at that. Now you can adjust that. How cool is that? You guys see how you can do that? So now we're taking that image and we just fed in our own custom properties for each one of these. Now that is how it's done right there. And then of course, you know, you can adjust your roughness. You can take this, you can make it a little bit less rough, maybe like something like that. You can go into your specular, you can adjust this. I mean, this is how it's done right here. I'm gonna save this PCB board. There we go. All right, let's turn on the real hacker music. Let's get this thing really going here. We're gonna turn on the real hacker music, which you're going to hear in the background in just a moment. Is that the right one? Where is it? That's now I want hacker music. All right, that's fine. All right, check it out though. How cool is that? Now you got your reflections. And then of course you can change up your HDRI if you want to. So you can change it to something like this, right? Now you can really see the reflections going on with your PCB board. And then what you could do from there, I mean, you could make this all procedural and you could probably have it so that you're putting different components on the surface. That's also possible. There we go. Can you guys hear that music? Is that too much or is that perfect? All right, good. All right, let's go ahead and get some suggestions in the chat. What is it that you guys want to see? We're taking some suggestions right now. I have a few ideas of some things that I might want to model. I think the DeLorean could be really cool. I've been thinking about modeling the DeLorean for a while. Back to the Future DeLorean. Now, this is not my original work, of course, it's just a car. Is there any best tutorials or courses that explain nodes in detail? I never understand those things. Yes, there is. I'm so glad that you asked because there is a specific one that I have in mind. Let me go ahead and just pull up a real quick image. Oh, this thing is so cool. Oh, there's so much we can do with this. I am going to go ahead and pop this into the chat real quick because, and I know you guys have probably heard of this before, but I'm involved with this course, so I definitely can speak for it a little bit more. If you want to learn about basically like shader nodes, geometry nodes, anything like that, the link that I just put in the description is absolutely the best resource that I can possibly think of for you. That is our core fundamentals of Blender with CG Cookie. I just so happen to be teaching something in there, and that is physics. This is such a cool car. Yeah, I would love to. Let me see if I can get blue. Let me see if I can get a blueprint of this thing. Oh, yeah, there are blueprints. Oh, wow, look at this, look at this. Oh, this is so sweet. There's just so much about this car that just makes me just, like, happy. I don't know. Anybody else? Look at this thing. Oh, my gosh, bro. This thing is so awesome. I kind of want, yeah, I kind of want a colored version, though. That's pretty good. As long as they're all, like, scaled correctly, it shouldn't be too terrible. This is pretty good right here. And I'll need some side views, of course, too. Any other questions as we continue here? I'm just gonna kind of go for this and try to like build it out. I feel like a lot of people have the blueprint. I feel like this is pretty accurate. It's tough because sometimes you get something and it's not the actual blueprint. Like it's like an AI generated, so we have to be like really, really careful. Like, let me see if I can find like the official blueprint. Here we go. This is the actual. Okay, so this is legit. This is coming from the store. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like we can actually use this. It's going to let me grab this image. It's not going to let... Oh, it doesn't let me right click. All right, we're just going to have to screenshot then. That's fine. All right, so we're going to go ahead and screenshot this, and then we're going to design this thing. It's fine. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. All right, so I just saved the blueprint. This thing is so cool. Now, I'm not sure what's going on in the back here. Wonder if these are things they added. Like, it's hard to say. Let me just see. I just want to make sure I get like the proper, like I want to do like official blueprint. NVIDIA and AMD cards for 3D animation and rendering. Yeah, man. I got a RTX 3070 right now that I'm working on. I feel like this is also nice too. Again, we're going to need some visual references. It's a good reference. Dude, there's so much about this car that is just so cool. Look at this thing, dude. Oh, so awesome. Let me get a sip of coffee here before we start on this. I'm looking for a really specific one. I guess I can just use any of them and just start. I don't want to slack too much here. I'm just, you know me, guys. I like to have my technical blueprint in order before I start anything. This one's pretty good. I guess this one wasn't too bad. We could probably just use this one. Just see. That looks, I mean, it looks correct. It doesn't look like a terribly difficult car to model, but I've been surprised before. So let's do it. Let's save this image. All right. And let's go ahead and also get like just Back to the Future DeLorean, just the car itself, so we can kind of see like what it looks like. Perfect, good little reference image there. I want to get an image of it with the doors closed too. Dude, such a cool car. Why is this car so cool? Like, I don't know. It just is. All right, here we go. Let's get... It's a good shot here. I want to get a shot of the wheels too. I'm hoping there's like a side view. Side view, let's see. Yeah, let me get a good side view. There we go. Perfect, 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 perfect. So I want to get those wheels like, you know, as exact as I possibly can. Dude, this thing is sweet. All right, should we start? I think we have enough. I think we have enough to at least get started. What a clean car, bro. What a clean car. It's like, again, it's cooler that it's like, I don't know, it's a lot cooler that it's got all the gadgets and like wires and things like that on it. Maybe we should make a car with a chat. I mean, someone make time, someone glasses, someone lights. Make a car with a chat. What do you mean? Oh, like everybody collabs on it. That could be kind of cool. Like the file gets passed around to different people. That could be kind of an interesting concept. I like that. I'm gonna save that one for later. We probably won't do it today, but I do like that idea a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and add our reference images in first, guys, and then we'll get started. I need a different... Oh, here we go. Hacker radio. I knew I was going to find... I was like, I got to find hacker radio. Are you guys fine with me turning up the music just a little bit? Nothing too crazy? Or should we do Back to the Future song theme? Hold up. And then we'll come back to that. Oh, bro. Hold on. Ready? Don't copyright me, bro. Just while we get set up. So gonna get copyright infringed. Oh, this one has the doors open. It's annoying. All right, I think I was getting a flag warning. Hold on. I don't want to get in trouble for playing that. We'll go back to the hacker music. Oh my gosh, where's the hacker music, bro? Bring me back. Here we go, hacker radio. Oh my gosh. Better. Okay, good stuff. You know what else I kind of like the idea of is like kind of making a car that like doesn't exist or like hasn't existed before. That could be kind of cool too. I like the idea of making it with chat though. I do. Or did you mean chat? Did you mean ChatGPT? Hold on, am I getting confused here? You meant ChatGPT? Bro, did I not have? Honestly, I might do this blueprint instead. Sorry guys, because I don't like that the other one, the doors are not open. Or they are open rather. Okay. All right, here we go. Hello, Kenny. Nice to see you again. Hey, have you ever had carpal tunnel syndrome in your hand? How long did it take to go away? No, I haven't. God forbid. I hope I never do. But yeah, I can see that happening if you're like, yeah, if you're doing this stuff all day, which I'm really not. If you are though, yes, I could see it happening. So I can't speak on that because I didn't, but I really hope I never do. I really hope I never do. All right, so this is like the rough size of the car. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to try my best to just kind of like form the car in like a really, really basic way with a plane. You guys already know the technique, right? Get a little loop cut here, delete the other side, and then do your mirror. There we go. And now anything I do to this side will happen to the other side. That's kind of the general workflow, more or less. And then basically, well, we're going to need a top-down view of this thing too. So let me see if I can get that. Where did you get the blueprint from? I just found it on the internet. Oh, this one's not terrible. Oh, it's the same one I had. I'm like tempted to use this one a little bit. This one's like not terrible. I just need that I need that top-down view. That's what I really need. You know what? I'll just add in image reference and I'll add in the one that I already had, but then I'll just use it just for the top-down view. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Right? Okay, so let's do this. All right. Again, this is strictly for the top-down view. I know it's not the same blueprint. Assuming this is matching up. Let me see. Is this counting the mirrors? Yes, it is. All right. I think we're set up and good to go. Let's go ahead and start actually modeling this thing and see how it goes. I think I'm going to start with the hood. Oh, I do need a reference. Hold on. I need one more reference. Up here, we'll do image editor. I know it's taking forever to get started here, but I just want to make sure I have like the proper vibe of like what this car actually looks like. There we go. That gives you a better idea of it. So the hood is like relatively flat, but it has this kind of like scoop thing. See if I can open up another one. It's kind of a hard angle. It's weird. Is that actually the DeLorean? It kind of looks like AI generated. I'm gonna go with the last one. All right, this is fine. All right, I'm gonna assume the hood is like relatively flat. So we're gonna kind of go with this and kind of see what we can do. I don't know, the DeLorean is like a whole beast of a project, so we'll see how we do with it. It's like pretty geometrically simple, but at the same time, I could see it getting complicated if we're not careful. Alrighty, let's do this. Let's go ahead and start right about, I'm trying to see where it stops and starts here. I feel like right there is pretty okay. Kind of drag these out, extrude, just extruding and dragging. Really, really simple. Nothing too crazy. Take this line, GX, right, move it up here. And I'm just slowly moving these pieces up. I'm really just trying to match like the general profile of the hood. And then I'll try to press A. I will go ahead and bring this up. Now you can't really see this as much, but this part here, I might do a loop cut in the middle. I might take this whole back row and I may just move this up with proportional editing. Perfect. All right, so now we should have something that looks like this. Looking good. This middle row, though, I do want to move this up a little bit. So it should look relatively like that. All right, that's fine. All right, we'll go ahead and add a subdiv to that. And the reason we're adding a subdiv is because, and we'll have the clipping in the middle turned on. Yep, the reason we want a subdiv is we want it to be nice and smooth on the sides, which it is. So far, so good. And then from here, we'll kind of build the paneling off of this. So I think we have like the hood. The hood's really pretty simple. And then if you really need to, you kind of go up here, add another loop cut here. Maybe one more down here. The hood really isn't that complicated, I don't think. I think the middle comes up just a little bit. Really nothing crazy. There's just ever so slight bow. All right, this is looking good. I think it's time to add, let's see, I guess the hood or the grill part would probably be next. All right, let's add the grill next. Just looking to analyze it first. The grill's pretty simple. It's thin, but there's a piece. Okay, I think I know what I need to do. I think this piece needs to come off. We're gonna do Shift D X. So now there's a slight gap in that paneling, but then this kind of comes forward. So it kind of like extrudes down just a little bit like that. We'll turn our proportional editing back off. And then this whole thing kind of wraps around, right? So this like the front part of it. And then you take this and you kind of like extrude it down just a little bit. Right? And then it kind of wraps around again. So we got to be kind of careful about like how we do this. Happy Sunday, Kenny. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. What? I'm your favorite Gooner artist? Oh, Lord. I don't know what to say. No, really, like I don't know what to say. You know what? I think I'm gonna build the side real quick because I think it's gonna make more sense if I do this. Yeah, let's do this. Let's build the side out. This goes like really just simple, like kind of just comes down like this. Comes down again. Okay, so now we have the side built out. Awesome. And now I think I'm ready to take this, Shift D and X to duplicate, then again extruding it again on the X, bringing it down just a little bit, extrude in and scaling in, bringing it down. All right, you kind of have this little lip in here, and then I think it gets like, it almost gets pushed back again. Extrude, and it goes on the X almost. Yeah, because it kind of gets tucked in like that. If you guys can see that. I'm going to go ahead and enable my matte cap too while I'm over here. Cavity, perfect. Both. Perfect. So far, not terrible though. Not perfect, but not terrible. Bring it a little bit closer. There we go. Because there's a really slight gap in that hood. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about it so far. I do think this needs to kind of wrap back underneath of itself. So you almost need to take this entire bottom piece and then wrap it in. But I think this comes down more. It's really tough because I can't really see like what this looks like on the inside. There we go. Yeah, like I want to say this piece here and this piece here have to come this way, right? I guess you really need this edge. Yeah, you take this edge, extrude it on the Y, and then just kind of repeat that a couple times. I'm not sure why it doesn't want to move for me. Bro, what is happening here? There we go. All right, so you got something like that. Awesome. We'll let those things meet in the middle. So now we kind of have this piece, right? And we can adjust this kind of like as we go. I just made a car with a side reference and it was torture. Thank you. Yeah, I mean the thing about the references is that like they're kind of like not all the same, but we'll do the best we can. Getting some weird shading issues over here. No, we're not. All right, let's do this. Let's bring this down. Now, it's not going to look perfect right away, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to try my absolute best to kind of make it perfect. Like you can already see, like this needs to come out more. Hold on. I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. Oh, I'm grabbing the whole edge loop. I don't want that. I just want this piece, and this piece. This is a tough one because I don't want to go too far out. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to add these in so I can have a reference. Perfect. All right. All right, we're gonna give these a bevel. I'm just trying to check before I do anything else because the blueprint looks a little bit off, I'll be honest with you guys. It's tough building a car because, like, just from the references, you try to do it, and then it always comes out at a weird angle or something weird pops up. It's tough. I don't know. I don't always love designing cars. It's not my favorite thing to model, but it's a good challenge for me because I love to improve my modeling skills. So it's something that I think is important for me to at least test. All right, let's do this. Let's scale this out. And let's do this. Let's scale it on the X. Let's bring it in. We're going to do an array for this guy. Well, we'll do a solidify first. We'll do an array on the Z. And we'll do, like, I don't know, negative 1.2 maybe. Maybe a few of these guys. Again, we're kind of bringing this here. Tab, rotate on the Y. Change this offset here. I don't know how many are there, so I'm just going to kind of wing it here. So I don't really know 100%. Is this even centered on the Y? I knew it wasn't. I was like, something's off. I was like, something's off here. Hold on a minute. All right, now we can scale these out to match. There we go. It's looking a little bit better. And then, honestly, they probably have the absolute smallest bevel in the absolute world. So I'll give them a really, really small bevel, right? Yeah, like that. Perfect. That looks good. I feel like I'm pretty happy with that. And I do think that there's probably a piece behind this whole thing. Something's looking funky here. Oh, I guess we never closed this in. Do you fully commit to the reference or do you leave influence to the model? Modeling this on a live stream is incredibly ambitious. No, I completely agree. What I will tell you is that that's a really good question. There's some wiggle room because it's so hard with blueprints because I don't know where the heck this blueprint came from. For all I know, ChatGPT made it. So for me, I like try my best to match it. Usually it doesn't. Like, usually it doesn't work, actually, because I have to modify it as I go. All right, I feel like that's better. Yeah, no, it's tough. All right, so I think we have some of the good hood pieces. I think for the front, it's tough because you really have to build this out like in a proper way. This is gonna be a tough one. All right, so like already like the blueprint's off. Like either that or I'm off because like I said, this blueprint. No, it's tough to say like where this blueprint came from, and it's like slightly modified. Like some of the outlines are thicker than others, so you have to be really, really careful about how you do things. I'm tempted to say, I guess I kind of have to build this off here. This is a scary thing when I'm about to embark on a thing that I really can't go back from. So let's just try it out. Again, this is like, comes back to like, where is this cutoff? Like, because right now the cutoff looks like it's right here. Whereas from the other side, how did I get to, I guess I didn't do this correctly. Grab all of this, move it up a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. And then I'll adjust this individual piece here. Just kind of adjust it like that. All right, I feel a little bit better about that because now like those pieces where the body gap starts and stops, it's a little bit better. Again, it's not going to be perfect, right? But if you take like this whole piece and you go, okay, SX, right? Now you kind of got something that looks a little bit better. So it's all about those proportions, right? Yeah, this is going to be a tough one in terms of like proportions and getting everything like exactly correct. Already, I'm not like 100% happy with it, but this is one of those things where like you can really nitpick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the blueprint does not look like a real scan. So I'm like I said, I'm gonna kind of just go for it the best that I absolutely can. It is an ambitious project, but it's one that I'm willing to take on because I do like a good challenge. All right, here we go. Here goes nothing. I think it's the next part is like taking this bottom piece, right? This kind of like bottom area, duplicating that because I think there's a whole nother thing that starts below. Yes, there is. And this will be interesting because this is that piece. I know what you're thinking. This isn't matching up at all, but I'm going to probably fix that later. Kind of looking to see what this looks like. Yep, that looks better. And then again, like right here, now it comes off, right? Now there's a part that's like, okay, now this becomes a different thing. I almost think this part right here is going to be separate. So like this is almost like a bumper under that piece. And then under there is a completely different piece. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm not making sense, but I'm trying to. Let's grab that. Let's grab that. Yeah, this reference, something ain't matching up here. I don't know what it is. Do this. It's like a little bit better, but again, still not perfect. That's a good point. If we can still make it look like half decent, even if it's like a more stylized approach, it might still look okay. I kind of like that, like that way of thinking about it. It's like even if it's not like perfect, it could still be cool, right? Doesn't mean it has to be like exactly like this thing, right? Because like this part right here, this is where it gets really tough. Because now you got to come in here and be like, okay, well, shoot, how do I, you know what I mean? Like, how do I do this, right? This is where you start adding few more loop cuts to make your life a little bit easier, right? Now you're like, oh, okay, so now I can take this and I can be like, oh, okay, right? Kind of start working your way down here. Then you're kind of like, oh, well, you know what? I really do need a loop cut here because this isn't going to work because I have my subdiv applied, right? So now it's just a matter of, okay, now I slide these around on their loops. Now I start to kind of piece this weird thing together, and it's going to become this really weird thing with awful topology. This is going to look pretty bad. The topology, this is absolutely not a professional workflow, so please don't copy what I'm doing. See, like I also can't really tell where the line is for the, you can kind of tell a little bit from here. All right, yeah, there we go. All right, it's a little bit better. It's like you almost think it goes up here. Yep, that's a little bit better. Trying to line it up the best that I can. It's really hard to because you're going to have to like start extruding this stuff, right? Yeah, we take this, you just kind of go, okay, now it's time to take this, and this, extrude it down. You really don't want that. You want this to be over here, right? Now let's see what this looks like from an outside perspective. Okay, not terrible. So you're starting to get like that area that we want, but then it's interesting because if you look, it starts like wrapping under the car. So like these three areas right here, they kind of go off this way, right? So it kind of starts wrapping under the car like that. So we're going to start kind of forming that as well. It's going to be interesting. Tell you what, this is an ambitious one, man. This is really ambitious. But like, I feel like I'm too far in to like not at least try. Yeah, I feel like I kind of like have to try at this point. Heck. All right, let's do this. That looks fun. I want to see how far this comes down. I feel like right about here, it starts kind of extruding in. Starts kind of matching up with the car a little bit. And then it kind of just goes this way. It goes EY. Right? And then this is where, okay, now I have to click on this piece, right? Now we have to extrude this down. But then we have to move it in. S, that's fine. S, move it in more. Yep. So it kind of comes in like that, right? The bumper does a little bit. It's not perfect, but it kind of comes in like that. It's definitely coming along. Like it's coming along, but it's tough. Right now, I think this piece here, tempted to say goes like that. Nope, that has to come back because this has to line up right here. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about it so far. I do think this comes out more. So like if you take this, it kind of comes out more like that way. So I'm gonna do this. You know what? I'll do it manually, it's fine. That's a little bit better. Okay, good. All right, good. Let's see. Ooh, this next part's gonna be interesting. So this like panel, I feel like this panel's like almost done. Yeah, this is starting to, I feel like it's starting to look like something now. Okay, good. Okay, so this panel kind of stops down here. That's great, because I really don't want this panel to go on any further. How are we doing so far? Not terrible. Not too terrible. Guys, we got to keep... I'm assuming by that comment, I don't think I can speak that comment out loud. I do not trust that comment. Sorry. So I can't answer that. I think this is starting to come along, though. I think it is. All right, I think it's time to start adding the rest of the pieces now. Let's go ahead and give this. Let's make the hood real quick. Okay, let's do this. Let's first of all take everything, rotate it how it should be rotated. Let's go here. Take this piece in here. All right, and then what we need to do is, well, we're gonna need a few loop cuts. And I am gonna take, let's take this guy. Let's go to a top-down view. Let's do this. Let's do a, I gotta select this top one, go to my loop tools real quick and relax these guys. And I need a subdiv. All right, it's looking pretty decent. Is this thing really that sloped down like that? I guess it really is. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think it genuinely is sloped down like that. All right, cool. Now that we have this, check it out. We're gonna take this. We're gonna go to separate selection. Now we have this guy. Now we can work with this guy to get the rest. Ah, we're gonna do this. Do a little one of these guys. And then we'll do this. Why does it not look symmetrical? Oh, maybe it's just the way I line this up. It's 100% what it is. Wait. Am I tripping? Why does this not look symmetrical? There we go. Should look symmetrical now. It was the origin of the mirroring. I was like, something ain't lining up here, buddy. Okay. All right, good. All right, good stuff. All right, so I feel like we're starting to line everything up. Looks good. And then again, just kind of taking these pieces and trying to match the profile of the car, things like that. Just take these guys, 1, 2, 3. You have to be careful because I feel like, I definitely feel like the angles aren't looking quite correct. I'm probably overthinking it. I really probably am overthinking it. Hold up, let's just do this. Take these guys, let's extrude these guys down. Okay, that's gonna be that part right there. So like, probably do one more loop cut here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extrude it on the X. All right, and then for this next part, and don't worry, we'll pull all this stuff out. So like this guy will pull out to the Y. Just these guys though. 2, 3, 4. All right, we'll come back to that. It's starting to come together like a little bit. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not horrible, and there's some improvements. Watching Back to the Future. No way, you're gonna watch it after the live stream, bro. It's one of my favorite movies, man. Well, I guess movie series, if you will, but yeah, I love that series. It's great. So this is gonna be interesting because I think we're gonna have to take all of these, right? We're gonna do a little EX type of deal here. Shift R to repeat last action. One more, okay. Alrighty, let's see how everything's looking. Again, we're gonna come back anyway, but it's looking decent. It's looking decent. I'm having fun. Like I'm having fun with it. So I think because I'm not bored of it, I'm just gonna continue and continue. Makes sense? All right. So now the fun part, we get to kind of like come down here and be like, all right, well, starting to piece this together. This is gonna be the door, so I'm gonna have to start kind of extruding this thing down, right? And then it's gonna have to eventually it's going to have to connect, right? And I think this is the point where these will connect right here. But we got to be careful because how in the heck, bro? I don't know how that happened, but all right. We'll go ahead and... I literally have no clue how this happened. Hold on. I am literally perplexed, but it's fine. Easy fix, but like, what the heck just happened there? Might have just been my proportional editing. Like, what, bro? All right, it's fine. It's relatively fixed, but I still need to like come in here and we need to relax these guys, or at least relax these guys right here. There we go. What a great feature and great add-on. All right, it's starting to look a little bit better. I'll put my face down here. Sorry guys, I didn't realize my face was blocking that much of the screen. All right, let's do this. What do you guys think so far? Not too terrible. Not too terrible for really not having too much going on here. these body panels are going to need to line up a lot better, right? Like I'm going to have to go in here and be like, okay, well, you're going to have to, all these guys are going to have to straighten up, relax. Maybe not too relaxed though. Can I make them straight? How do I do it? Flatten. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, that's a good feature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Flatten. Oh, I messed up. I missed one. Why isn't flatten working? I'm not sure why flatten's not working, but that's fine. Dude, it's coming along. How many years to master it? Oh, I don't know. A lot more than this. Any good resources to learn Blender? There 100% is. I will go ahead and shout it out right now in the chat below. So if you guys really, really want to learn Blender and you want to learn way more about modeling than just what I'm doing right now, highly suggest the link that I suggested in the chat. That is going to be Super Hive, and I think it's still on sale. I believe it's still on sale for $150 if I'm correct. I believe I am correct about that. Yeah, check that out. Super Hive, and these are the core fundamentals of Blender, and you can learn pretty much anything that you want to about Blender. We pretty much teach everything. It is quite awesome. Oh, this is coming along. This is really coming along. Okay, so for this next section, I think I have to build the bottom of the car now. So that was kind of like the top half. Now it's time to do the fun part and build kind of our bottom half of the car. So I'm going to tab into edit mode here. I'm going to scale this, rotate it, right? I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here, scale it down a little bit. And we're going to kind of start right here. Let's see if I can do that. Perfect. Okay, so we're starting right here, and this is the bottom of the car, right? So we're kind of just building this out. It's pretty straight, so I don't imagine this will be too difficult. So I'm just going to kind of do something like this. Really, really simple. And then I'm going to tuck it underneath with this bottom row. So I'm going to kind of do a little something like that, right? And this is going to be the kind of bottom part of that car. Now for the bottom of this, I do want to go ahead and give this a mean crease, which is not working. Why isn't it working? Should be working. Did I select the whole bottom row? There we go. Mean crease. There we go. Oh, you know what? I selected the entire... I did not mean to select the entire thing. I meant to just select these guys here. That's weird. It's not. Okay, I guess you have to select the additional ones. Okay, that's fine. All right, and then for these bottom guys, SC0. Bring that down. Looks good. And then for this panel, we kind of want to select this loop and this loop. We just want to extrude it on the Y, but actually I want to do it individually. So I want to do it like this because we want to have like a slight paneling effect going on here. Yeah, that looks good. Pretty happy with that for the most part. Not 100% happy with everything yet, but we'll get there. I think the windshield is what's throwing me off right now. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So let's take this edge here, give it a vertex crease. There we go. That's already much better. Oh my God, miles better. I knew something was throwing me off, and I wasn't sure what it was. Yeah, this looks good. Also, I kind of want to bring this forward a little bit. Make it meet that windshield just a little bit better. And yes, there's a lot of creases and gaps, and we'll kind of take care of those later. But I hope you have a good stream. See you again soon. Yep, I'll see you guys again soon, or whoever is leaving. Thank you so much for joining. We really, really appreciate it. All right, so looking good, looking good. I do think we have some room up here for improvement. A lot of this comes down to like weird angles and things like that. There is this line that's running across the DeLorean that we'll have to capture eventually, but I think I'm just going to kind of keep chugging away at these different parts here. So like this part right here is where the door is. I kind of need to see through this. See, it doesn't have the outline for the door, so I'm going to be kind of... See, that's... Oh, it's so annoying. It's annoying that it doesn't have that because I would have liked to have... It's whatever. See, I'm going to slide this guy back. So really what we need to know is, okay, where does this door start and stop? Because that is ultimately where I'm going to start and stop everything else. All right, so I'm going to kind of move these guys out of the way a little bit because I'm going to make room for where I think the door starts and stops. I feel like it's right about there, like that. I'm just going to kind of call it there. I'm hoping for the best here. And now I'm going to take... Oh, is this the original DeLorean without the... It's kind of like the original DeLorean. But he modified it. What did he cut out the back window? Okay, so this fin thing is still here. So I'll just kind of assume that's still there. Just thinking. I'm thinking through to make sure that I'm doing this all correct. I want to keep it true to its like original form here. All right, this looks good. Now it's time to take that edge and build off the back part now. So now I take this edge here, which is going to be starting, I guess we'll start all the way at the top. Well, you know what? I might just take the whole edge. Shift D, X, mean crease 0, and then right click. We're going to do separate selection. Now we have this individual selection that I can now extrude this way. So now we're working with the back section of the car, right? But I do want to move this up because we want that crease and that gap to be really, really small. Otherwise, it's going to look really weird when we start building things out, right? All right, now it kind of starts here and it just kind of keeps going. And then this bottom left, I do want to give that a vertex crease because it's going to need it. Shade auto smooth, start building out the rest of our car. It's looking pretty decent. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. I think once we get like the wheels and stuff on there, it'll start really looking like the actual car. Can you show us in the future live a clip on how to bake textures from high poly to low poly in order to reduce the poly counts? Ooh, that might be something we can look into. Is car modeling harder than modeling other things? I would say yes. Me personally, yes, I would say yes. The reason why is, look, and I can already tell now. The reason why is because look at this. Look how flat it looks from the front. It clearly bows out wider than that. So we're going to have to like figure all that stuff out. But I think so far it's coming along. Modeling a car is definitely harder. There's a lot to it. And trying to get the proportions correct from a reference is, in my opinion, very difficult. That's one of the reasons I'm doing it on a live stream. Because I enjoy the process. Like, I think it's fun. It's also kind of a pain. But it's like a pain, but it's fun. But it's a pain, but it's fun, you know? All right, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and take these guys, take just these guys. There we go. We'll extrude these guys on the X. There we go. Move this guy up. You know what I just realized? I never gave this a mirror modifier. There we go. All right, there we go. Awesome. Looking good. For this guy, this is where we're going to start to build out the rest of the roof. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to build it out one vertex at a time. I'm just going to see where it stops and starts. I believe we can... Yep, we can keep going here. Again, we're just kind of moving these guys up as we can. Same concept, EX. Again, moving this down. EX, moving this down. And don't worry, we'll come back and straighten everything out. And I missed a few vertices. EX, there we go. Moving this down. It's good. It's good that I checked that because that could have been really, really bad. There we go. It's starting to come along. Getting some weird things going on here. All right, and then we got to really be careful about like the wheel well. We got to be wheelie careful. I'm horrible. All right, let's see. I think it just keeps on going back. Like, I don't think there's much more to it. Is that? It does keep going back. Okay, and then we got to go ahead and extend down for our wheel well. So for the wheel well, it kind of starts and stops there. Again, really hard to tell where it starts and stops. So you got to be careful here. All right. Cool. Need another loop cut here. All right, now for the backside, SX0, kind of square it off real quick because I want to see what everything's looking like. So far, not too terrible. Not great or not bad. You know, I think it's very clearly a DeLorean. Yep, absolutely. Oh, that's a good call. That's a good call, my friend. Very good call. It's not looking too bad. Like, I'm not definitely like not displeased with it at all. You know what I really want to do actually is I want to get this like see this like panel or see where this pops out on the wheel well. Kind of want to get that going for each one of these. It may just be as simple as like grabbing that section. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It might be as simple as with proportional editing enabled, GY, really small, like kind of just pushing it out like this, right? That may be the trick to it. Not terrible. That helped a lot. We're going to come back to that. Well, I want to do the same thing down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Again, GY, right? Kind of pushing that panel out a little bit. I'll come back to these other guys. Oh, I'm still on proportional editing. Oopsies. It's looking not terrible, though. Not terrible. Not great, but not terrible. Let's go to our loop tools. Let's relax. Awesome. I think it's looking decent. Decent. Oh my gosh. Topology is such a hard thing to get right, man. And like the angles and stuff like that. Oh, I'm missing a window, aren't I? We'll do let's do the window here, and then let's do the wheels next, and then we'll do all these like crazy insane details. Let's do the window though. Dude, this window is crazy looking. What? Mirror it on this guy. All right, here we go. I'm really just taking a plane, I subdivided it, and I'm kind of just moving it around until it looks like it kind of fits correctly. Might even subdivide it one more time to make this really, really simple. Okay. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I just take the inner side of the car panel here? I could have done that, and I thought about it. I don't know. I wanted to do it this way. I just did. Why did I want to do it this way? Because I choose to struggle for no reason, probably. That's probably why. There we go. You know, I guess I could just do it the other way. Like I said I was going to do in the first place. Let me do it the other way. Oh my gosh. Can I do grid? Oh my god, can I do grid fill on this? Oh, no way, bro. Oh. It does work, but it looks, why does it look so weird? That one looks a little weird. Could you use top-down view for front view for the fenders? Oh, how I do the details? Oh yeah, actually I'm excited for the detailed part of it because I actually think that's going to be the most fun part of it. I'm kind of excited for the wheels too, so I think I'm going to do them next and kind of come back to these other weird little like trinkety things, you know? I mean, this is kind of a fun one to try though. I will say like I'm enjoying this like thoroughly. All right, let's go ahead and do the wheels. The wheels, they're going to be interesting. Obviously I'm probably going to start with a cylinder, so let's just do that. Start with our cylinder. Let's flip it and let's scale it down to roughly the size of the wheel. Looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and move it. Again, scaling it to the size of the wheel, roughly speaking. Looks good. And I don't think they pop out that much. I don't know if that's just maybe that's the rear wheel. Yeah, the real, they are pretty close to the edge, but I don't think they pop out like an incredible amount. I feel like that's about where they pop out to. Let me go ahead and mirror them. Awesome. And they're done. Easy. It's funny because you can kind of tell just by looking, which makes me happy about this model. You can kind of tell what car it is. Like, I think I know that this is definitely the DeLorean, without a doubt. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and give this a bevel before the mirror. We're going to give it an edge split, again, before the mirror. And we're going to give it a subdiv, again, before the mirror. Looking good so far. I do think we're going to have to adjust the, you know what? We're going to have to add an empty plane axis. And I'm going to have to make this the center point for our mirroring modifier. And then we are definitely going to have to, it's a little bit bigger. Actually, maybe they weren't that big. Maybe slightly. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to adjust that wheel well. I'm glad we're doing this, though, because now I can see, like, the areas that I need to improve on. All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take the front face. All right, so let's tab into edit mode. Let's take this front face, and we're going to, like, inset and delete it. We're going to inset it. Inset it again. We're going to push it back because we don't need, yeah, we don't need it to be anything. This will be, like, where the wheel is anyway. Delete the face. Actually, technically, I could just delete the whole other side. I mean, that's the wheel. You're really not going to be able to tell if there's a backside to this or not, I don't think. So we're going to add we'll add the rim of it next. All right, so I actually might just take this, duplicate it, scale it down. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, it's about that size. That seems about right. And I think I'm just gonna like extrude this, and then we'll do the spokes separately. I'm just gonna extrude this, press L to select the shape, G, Y to move it in. And it's probably gonna be slightly inset. And the reason why is because I think this wheel, like there's spokes that come out of it, and then there's like an outer rim piece, if you will. So I might do that. I think I can do it all in one go. Let me see. Take this outer piece, Shift D S to scale. Okay, I'm gonna bring this out, and I'm gonna like isolate this. I'm gonna press I to inset, and then I'm gonna delete this face. I'm gonna take this and press L. This is gonna be the outer part of the rim, so I'm just gonna do EY to give it just a little bit of thickness. Again, L to press in. Bring this in here. This is gonna be like the inside rim, although I think I might separate it. Let me do the separate selection. And now I want to give this no bevel because I want this to be, I'll probably give it my own bevel. Yeah, it looks good. Now is that applying to all four? Yeah, it is. Okay, so far so good. And now for these spokes, they look really simple. I think I got a close-up shot of one of these. I think I did. Where is it? There's the side view. All right, there we go. Okay, so for the side view, so we might have to count these. I know it sounds crazy, but we're actually probably going to have to count the DeLorean pieces here. This is going to be crazy. Oh, I don't feel like counting. Okay, let me just do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45? I think it's like 45. Okay. I want to say it's like 45, something like that. So now let's do this. Let's get this piece here. 45 sounds right. We're about to find out. All right, let me just do this. We'll do an array. We'll do a circular array, and we'll do 45. And then what I'll do is I will move this up so we have like, so we're gonna have to make this skinnier. They all are skinny enough that they'll, okay. So we're gonna here. All right, now let's give these some solidity. We'll do that even before we array it. And then, of course, SZ to scale if I need to. All right, it's looking pretty decent. We need a mirror. And the mirror object, we'll just make it the car. We'll do X and Y. Or no, we can't make it the car. We got to make it the empty because that was what we matched up to the original wheels. All right, now what are we going to do next? Oh, do I usually apply? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed your comment. Do you usually apply the Boolean or keep it non-destructive? Sometimes I'll keep it non-destructive unless I really need to apply it. That's a good question, though. Oh, concavity. You're so right. So let's do this. Take the top part of it and bring it out like this. You mean like that? Ah, yes, sir. And then this I actually think is even slimmer. And I'm going to separate this selection. Let's bring this in. It's already looking better. Okay, and then this part here technically this really should connect to the rim. I think this should have a bevel. I'm going to give this a bevel. For anything else. Nothing crazy, though. All right, it's starting to come together. Something don't look right, though. And again, doesn't look bad. It's just, yeah. Okay, so we're missing the bolts as well. Peachy, that's dope. Thank you for your answers. Yeah, of course. That's what I'm here to do. It's not looking horrible. Like it needs some work. Like it needs some work. I will tell you, this is a tough, it's a tough car to get correct. There's so many little like gadgets and things to add. All right, let me finish the wheels with these little bolt things. So this is actually funny because we're actually probably going to punch into this with some, funny enough, with the same object. Getting rid of all this. All right, we're going to do this. We're going to do SY because we want this to punch into here. Let me just shade this flat real quick. So I think I'll do an array. We'll do a circular array. And I'll just do, what do I need, 4? No, actually, technically only need 3. Object apply, scale real quick. And then where is, Can't even see where my other objects are. Oh, because my origin's set weird. Set origin. No. Set origin to geometry. I gotta apply it. Do I have to apply rotation? What is going on here? There we go. All right, that's better. All right, I'm also going to duplicate these because I want to take this and scale it for the actual bolt itself. Give it a slight bevel. Not too much, jeez. Or not, oh my God. Give it a bevel before that. All right, there you go. There's the bolts. And then what we need to do is we need to punch a Boolean in this object. And did it work? Why didn't it work? There we go. Now the Boolean needs to be before the mirror, and then this one will also need a mirror. And it will need to be mirrored upon this guy here. I feel like that looks pretty good. Oh, you know what? We do need one more thing. We need to take this. We need to get rid of that Boolean. We need to scale it down for that center piece there. And then I think I need to bring this face out a little bit. It looks like it might be like concaved a little bit. So almost like inset, and then this piece kind of comes out, kind of like that. Thoughts on that? I feel like that's it. I feel like that's the rim. Please make a ship wake and foam in Blender. Could be cool. Could be cool. I have to do a quick water break here. It's just coming along. The backside looks horrible, but it's coming along. All right, I feel like I'm kind of like almost ready to like start adding in like those details. What does the backside of this thing look like? Crap. I have a picture of it. Perfect. Oh my gosh, bro. All right, let's do this. Let's grab this. Actually, you know what? I'll just do top down. We'll grab this, Shift X, separate, selection. All right, we need that reference image back. Where was that reference image at? One of these. There we go. See, this is why I hate this blueprint, bro. Because it doesn't reflect. So annoying. Separate, selection. Okay, now we're back in business, ladies and gentlemen. The reason I'm getting mad at this blueprint though, bro, is because it didn't show me like, it didn't really clearly show that line. Like I couldn't see the line, which is, you know, arguably pretty important when it comes to, you know, building a car, if you will. I think we can take these bottom two vertices. I'm tempted to say, this is a risky move, but I'm tempted to say we can just bring them in like this. Like I'm tempted to say that, and then we can start trying to fill everything in ourselves. This is a risky move. Probably should not have done that, though. I should probably do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where does it come up? 6, 7. Okay, let's try that. All right, there's the first part of it. And then for the second part, so this part pops out in a weird way. Tempted to say, let's do this. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a risky move. We can't do this one because it's going to mess everything up. Bro, what the heck? This thing is acting... Bro. There we go. Bro, that clipping was actually going to drive me crazy there for a minute. All right, that's fine. All right, I'm fine. I can work with that. I think I can work with that. Yeah, okay. I can work with these. There should be a loop cut right here, and we should be able to do this. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. It's coming along though. It's not horrible. I mean, like I said, the entire backside is going to be open, so I guess I might as well open that up so we can add all these crazy components. I don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of more time on this, although it is pretty cool so far. Also, I should probably add some tread to the tires. Oh my god, there's so many things to think about. There's so many things. All right, first of all, I think we got to delete like most of the top faces here up till maybe like about here. Yeah, because then it's gonna have the window. Oh, the window's removed. See, that's kind of sick, dude. The window's removed. Let's do this. Now, this isn't the exact shape of the window, but we're gonna reformat everything. We're gonna take these vertices. We're gonna move. This guy's gonna move up. All right, a little something like this, eh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. SZ. We're gonna move this guy up. Move this guy up. Move all these guys up. Move this guy up. Starting to look really cool. Definitely needs some work, but you get the idea. Dude, this thing's gonna be kind of sick, I'm not gonna lie. At least I'm pretty excited for it. I do wonder, like, I should probably do like an extrusion inward, but I mean, so far, like, I'm pretty generally happy with it. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it is. In fact, it's far from it, but it does look cool. I have to get some water here in a second. What time is it? Oh. Okay. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do these inner inserts for the body panels real quick. Like, I'm just gonna go in here and just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. EY. There we go. Okay. Same thing over here. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. EY. Should be fine. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it gives the car much more dimension. And then what you do is you take this edge, and we'll probably just crease this. At least I'll try to. That should help. I'm gonna try to do one more level. Yeah, this helps a little bit. It's coming along. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Car models. Yeah, car models are kind of a pain. Like, yeah, okay, and like, perfect example of like why they're a pain. Like I kind of like, I'm like, do I take this, extrude it, and then just move it down? You know what I mean? And like now that's the trunk, and then we just extrude that in. Like I think like that might work. Hold on. Let me think about this for a moment before I do anything else. Oh, I see why that's happening, because I don't have a need a loop cut here. All right, that doesn't look terrible, because that's where all the components are going to go anyway. Although that's not really... Hold on. Never mind. I'm sorry. It would be more like... I'm just going to add a plane, because I think this is tough, because I can't really tell, like, does there... like, where it starts and stops. Again, having the real thing in front of you helps a lot, which obviously I do not have. That would be really cool if I did. Man, I would drive this thing every day, bro, if I had it. Oh my gosh, bro. Okay, and then from here, now I can just take this, just take these components here. I feel like if I just take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I might be able to get away with this. No? What am I missing here? Oh, I'm missing this guy. I guess I really can't do that, can I? In this piece, I guess we just move this up, and that's that. And then you just move this guy over here. Now what? You just kind of have this piece that's just part of the trunk. I guess that works. I don't know. I don't love it, but like that is... I feel like if you were to take all this stuff off, it would like kind of look like that. The DeLorean is so sick. Thank you. Yeah. Are you saying it is sick in general? Yeah, it is. I don't hate it. Like I don't hate it. There's a lot. Like I didn't even put the tread on there yet either. There's so many things about it that's like you really do have to. I feel like the wheels even need to be more concave. Yeah, like honestly. Yeah, I feel like that looks that actually was a huge change, and I actually think it looks a lot better now. And you know what I just realized about these? I didn't realize this before. If you go into edit mode, you know what? There is a little piece up here that comes up. I don't know how well you guys can see this, what I'm working with here, but there's a little piece that comes up, and it like goes up like this. Yep. I didn't even notice that, and now I notice it, and I feel like it's already looking a lot better. Kenny goes shopping in DeLorean, accidentally lands in 1985. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. It's happening. It's happening. We need to go back. We need to go back. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I want to try this tire tread. I'm like a little bit nervous to try it, but I kind of have to. All right, first things first, let me reset the origin here. So when it comes to tire tread, There's a lot of ways we can do it. I do feel like you kind of just start with you start with making sure it wraps around the tire properly. So let's do that first. Let's do this. Let's do circle. All right, we're gonna do central axis. Well, first of all, let's do this. Where is the central axis? Hold up. Oh, can you? Hold up. Can we make the circle larger? Oh. Let's go. You can. So, when it comes to... Okay, this is going to be cool. All right, when it comes to doing this, first thing we want to do is we want to scale these down how we want them. And then we can rotate them how we want them. Yeah, this is going to be sick. And then we want 360 for the sweep angle, because we want them to come all the way around. 360, I thought I said that. 360, there we go. Perfect. Before this, though, we want to have a different array. This is just a normal offset. There we go. So now let's see. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 of those. You guys see like kind of where I'm going with this? This is generally speaking how I would go about doing it. And then you take your circle of your second array and you got to make that much, much bigger. Okay, perfect. And then you take your object, you make that much, much, much bigger. Perfect. And then you adjust this array offset. All right, we're gonna have to adjust the actual like distance between them as well, of course. Same here with this one here. And then you kind of just start moving things into place and kind of seeing how they look, right? Now, obviously, towards the end, you got to be careful because towards the end, it's going to look a little weird. I do need to stretch this out on the Y. And then also, just in general, bigger in general. Come back here. Again, adjusting like offsets, adjusting amounts. And then, of course, we'll give this, a mirror and stuff like that. And I think I'll give it like a slight bevel. I want it to mirror on the X and the Y, but I want it to mirror upon this so that it's on every single tire. Because I actually think that it's just like these little like details that like make a big difference in my opinion. Yeah, so another thing, like you can move this down to like, yeah, it already looks better. Let's give it a bevel. Yeah, it's looking good. It's really just now at this point, just like fine tuning like distance and things like that. Yep. And then for the outer ones, I'm going to show you we're going to do something a little bit different. Definitely looks better though. There's really technically 4. I guess, is there 4? It's fine. We'll come back to it anyway. That's pretty cool. I didn't know how we make treads. I mean, it's one way to do it. It's really not like the way to do it, but okay. So now for this edge part here, this is going to be a little bit more tricky. So I'm going to duplicate this. We're just going to keep the same thing we have. We don't need the initial array just like for now, but what I'll do is I will probably remesh this and just like morph it around the edge of the tire. The bevel's fine. That can stay. The array is fine because we're going to have like basically the same amount. Mirroring, we'll keep that for now. The real thing is the simple deform, which needs to go first, I'm going to subdivide this a little bit. And what we're going to do, I'm going to try to see if I can do this or not. I want to bend it. There we go. I wanted to bend it that way so that it wraps around the tire a little bit. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, let's see if we can, there it is. Perfect. And then what I'll do is I'll go to my array, shrink it down a little bit. I think that looks pretty decent. Just gotta be careful because right now, like, it's not, it might be too subdivided. Let me do this. Subdivide. You know what? We could smooth it though. See if I can smooth it right after the simple deform. Can smooth it a little bit. That helped a little bit. And then again, coming back to our array, adjust the size until you're like happy with it. Really just depends. Like, you could spend all day on this trying to get it perfect. This definitely looks better. Like, it looks a little bit better. At least gives you a little bit of a better idea what it could look like. And you kind of just keep refining from there. You really want to see how you paint? Oh, how I make the materials? Yeah, we can start adding some materials, but I didn't really do the backside yet of this, like all those like true details. It's starting to look pretty decent. We'll add some materials. Let me see if we can add in some materials here. Let's first of all go to cycles because we ain't using no Eevee bro for this one. We'll do, let's do this one for now. Yeah, this thing's gonna be sick. There's no doubt. I gotta get a reference image in here or something, but so like I said, I'm pretty happy so far with everything. Let's at least give this thing like some kind of metallic shader first. Where is it? Metallic. There we go. Yep. Let's give this backdrop like a darker color so we can kind of see what's going on here. I think I'm gonna take my two objects here, just do something like this. Let's get an area light in here for our car. Let's dumb down our strength of our HDRI to like 0.2. Where our area light will be like our hero for right now. Go ahead and adjust the spread. Let's give this guy a glass material. This guy will be copied. Yeah, this thing's gonna be sick. And then obviously, like for parts of it, like there will be like emissive materials and things like that. But so far, it's looking pretty cool. Can you make a stylized building? Yeah, I can make a stylized building. Let me get some tread on these, or let me get some stark rubber material. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Let me see something here. These rims are what? Like just like a metallic material? I feel like they're just like metallic. Not even really that like low roughness. It's really just pretty simple. This is the same color as this. And then this guy is just like a what? A glossy black material. Just go to this. There we go. It's fine. Let's see if I can get a different picture here. All right. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna have to color these like separate. So this guy right here is gonna be that glossy black. So I'll just give it that glossy black. These guys are gonna have their own custom shader. It's gonna be pretty sweet. I think we did a pretty decent job though. I think we did a pretty decent job. It's cars are tough to model. The wheels and stuff like that are easy because you can choose a bunch of like arrays and like modifiers. The car itself is the hard part to model, at least in my opinion. Oh, this thing's such a cool car though. All right, I am ready to get a water break. We're gonna do a quick water break. I'm gonna open up a brand new file and we're gonna kind of take everybody's suggestions. So here's what we'll do. A new file. I'm gonna go ahead and start a little poll in the chat. And I'm gonna say, what should we make next? You're from Bangladesh? Nice. How long does it take to learn this? In my opinion, you can learn it in months, some months, but it depends on the skill level that you really want, I guess. All right, there's the poll. I'll be right back. I'm going to use the bathroom. I'm going to get some water. We'll be back in less than a minute. All right, let's see what everybody voted for here. All right, what should we make next? Oh, wow, it is a really even vote. We only have 11 votes. All right, guys, we have 32 people watching, 11 votes. We're going to need a few more votes to make this decision. It's pretty split between modeling, shaders, and audience chooses. Greetings from Germany. Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Fluid sim, fire, smoke stuff. I know they're heavy in bake. Bone constraints, bone chain whip, rigging, weight painting, strength. Interesting. Okay, okay. It looks like shader nodes might win here. Shader nodes might win unless you guys decide against it. Let me see if I can open up some other cool projects while we're waiting for you guys to get your votes in. We'll give you guys a second to get those votes in. So what we did last time is we did a huge critique on everybody's projects. Man, there was a lot of... Oh yeah, I remember we were modeling this as well. This was tough. We really didn't get too far with this one. This was one of my heaviest modeling challenge. Like I remember we were doing this. This really wasn't my best modeling, but we were learning a lot from this one. This was a fun one. Yeah. All right. What was the? Okay, shader nodes might be winning, guys. Shader nodes might be winning. All right. So shader nodes it is then. Closing out the vote soon. Get your votes in if you have a different opinion. Greetings from Earth. All right, it is time. We are going to get into shader nodes. Here we go. Okay, all right. So is there any way we can learn which node attaches to the other nodes properly? I can teach you that right now. So let's make a new setup. Let's talk a little bit about nodes. So nodes are kind of like programming. Like they're like instructions for telling Blender what to do with your shader, right? There's a few different types of inputs for your material or output, if you will. So you can see right here, you can decide which render engine we're using. I just usually choose all because some shaders work in both render engines just fine. You want to do a car paint shader? Okay, we can do a car paint shader. We can do that. So right here, you can see I'm plugged into the surface. Now, good example, Principled BSDF will not work with volume, right? It doesn't accept, like volume doesn't accept Principled BSDF. It kind of does. Like it'll tell you that it does, but it doesn't actually do anything. If you wanted to use a volume, you would need to use a volume scatter or a principled volume. And when you input that, now you actually have something. Now to actually see it, we could switch over to cycles here. You can see it's right there, right? I'll go ahead and do this. You can kind of see it here, right? It's very barely visible, but if you raise the density, you can see it a little bit better, right? So there's your volume, right? Go ahead and delete that. Now, if you want to do like a glossy, for example, that's only accepted for the surface, right? And then you can adjust the color and then the shininess. Now, right now, when you adjust the roughness, you're not really see a huge difference because there's really no like background. So a lot of the times what I tell people when they're designing shaders, get a background on there, right? Even just a checkerboard is fine. Really just something that will reflect off of your object and give it like some lighting. Perfect. Gradient texture, that can help. Right. And usually what I like, if you guys know me well, you know me, I like a good environment texture. So I'm going to go ahead and select an environment texture here. Now I can really see what's happening, right? Now, right now I am in cycles. I need to select my GPU. There we go. I'm going to shade this smooth. Remember, the shading method is also really important. And right now you can see it's still pretty jagged. So I'll give it a subdivision modifier. Now we have something really smooth to work with, and when we start designing our shader, it's going to make a lot more sense to us. Another thing I like to do when I'm designing shaders is I'll actually go to my film properties and I'll enable my transparency because I want to make sure that I'm only focused on just the material that I'm building. So right now, so far, have I explained everything okay? You want to do a car paint shader? Yeah. Split RGB texture painting, multi PBR. That sounds interesting. I think that might be a little above my skill level, but we can try something like that out maybe later. So here's roughness, right? This is how much like the light like reflects and bounces off. The lower the roughness is, the more likelihood that the light like just bounces off and reflects like a mirror. The higher the roughness is, the more the light's like absorbed, right? So if you want like that chrome finish, you do no saturation, you do a low roughness, now you have this kind of like chrome material, right? Pretty cool. And you can see it can reflect the environment. In fact, if you zoom in, it looks like we're actually like moving around our environment, which is really, really trippy. Like you can kind of like look around the room with our sphere. Now that's a glossy BSDF. We'll just go over a glass next. Glass obviously is going to look like, well, glass. Now glass usually inverts things depending on the IOR. The IOR is the index of refraction. It's how much the light is actually like refracting through the glass itself. You can adjust the roughness here just like you can any other way. And the roughness is it can make it look like sea glass. If you want it to look like sea glass, you kind of raise the roughness up. Maybe you change it to blue, right? Just gives you kind of a rough idea. Oopsies. The heck? Change it to blue. There we go. Now I kind of have this really cool, like kind of sea glass look, right? Pretty fun. And there's different IORs for different material types. For example, 1.33 is the IOR of water. So if you wanted something to like look like water, you would probably give it this IOR. If you want it to look like glass, you may give it an IOR of 1.45. So these are just like some basic fundamentals of like glass itself. So now we know surface, volume, displacement. We might not get to that today because that's a little more advanced, but that allows you to actually like adjust the real surface. So now let's talk about the principal BSDF. This is the almighty shader, right? Right now it just looks white. You see we can still adjust the roughness. We can adjust the metallicness. You can basically make any shader that you want with the principal BSDF. It's very, very powerful. And you can see we have all of these drop downs and options. So we were talking about making a car paint shader. One of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to use the coat property, and we're going to actually adjust the weight here. So I'll just go ahead and lower the roughness. You can see when I adjust this, if I get rid of metallic, there we go. So if I adjust this right now, you can see the kind of the difference, the way that it's reflecting. Look, and the roughness itself. You can actually change the way that light bounces off of our object. I usually give this a coat of 1 because it's going to help that glossy factor come in when we start to develop our paint shader, or a car paint shader. All right, now in order to make a car paint shader, there's like a few different things we can do. Typically what I'll do is I'll just start with a Voronoi texture. Okay. We'll plug the distance into the base color, or the color, sorry, color into the base color. And so far we have this nice little speckled kind of pattern, which is what we're going to use to actually design our car paint shader, right? You can see the reflections are looking really nice. Now we don't want this to be colored like that, right? Now it is random and it looks cool. We actually want to give this our own custom color. So what I'll do is I'll start it off with like a dark blue, and I'll bring this into maybe like a lighter blue like this. Kind of bring these pretty close together. Something like that looks pretty good, right? And then we'll adjust our scale here. Awesome. Now for our metallic, you can also raise that up if you want it to look like super, super metallic car paint. But for the most part, this is like the basis of the shader is like adjusting these speckles. And then you can also adjust like the surface roughness as well. But this starts to show you, look, see here, let me see if I can adjust it now. You can kind of see the difference here when I raise this value and lower it, as well as adjusting this as well. I probably will keep that lower though, on the lower side. Another thing, right now these speckles are pretty random. You can adjust the detail level of the speckles. I like to keep it at 0. You can adjust the randomness. I'm going to keep that at 1. And again, this is kind of like the offset. So if you wanted to change the colors real quick, you can do a hue and saturation value. You can adjust the hue of your paint right here. Now in this case, I do think this is a little bit of a lower value for this, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy this color, paste it right here. There we go. And I'm going to lower this a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Now you can adjust the hue as you see fit. Perfect. All right, and then we're also going to adjust the roughness as well with the Voronoi texture. You can just plug it in directly. I don't like to do that. I like to feed it through a color ramp first. Whoopsies. This is kind of like how you get into like a potential car paint shader. Just to show you what it would look like on like a monkey here. Let's give the monkey the shader. Just turn this around here. Let me give this the subdiv. Give it the subdiv treatment here. There we go. Now you can kind of start to see what this might look like. And like on a car, it'll look pretty good. The most important thing that you're going to want to adjust is really your scale of your like speckles here, and then like how you want them to show up, right? I like a good spread on the color ramp because I think it's important to get that contrast. There you go. Probably even want this a little bit higher. Like you might even want to do 300. You may want to do 600. And now the speckles are much smaller, right? That's kind of your like standard car paint shader. It's really not too complicated, but more or less that should get the job done for what you're looking for. Pretty simple. You can also adjust this as well. I don't usually adjust this one. This is like your IOR, I guess, of your coat of your paint. Very, very shiny. Yeah, that's more or less what I would do. Now, another thing, though, when designing shaders, of course, is, again, the environment is going to drastically affect the way things look, right? This looks completely different. And people are probably like, oh, the shader looks horrible. Well, it's because you didn't put it in the right environment, right? And here it might look the way that you want it to. Or you find one that's an actual like garage. Do I have one that's an actual garage? I do. There's actually a machine shop here. So it's going to look completely different. Notice how the reflections and the lighting on your scene make your shader look completely different. This is actually something that I think a lot of people overlook like very quickly, and they just assume that the shader is bad. You have to have proper lighting for your shader or it will not look good. We could try to like for example, we could try to dumb down the strength of our HDRI, make it very, very low. We could take like an area light, like right here. You could do 300 for the strength. And now you can see, look, shader looks completely different with different lighting, right? This may not be the type of shader that you're looking for. It looks pretty cool, looks nice, but it might not be what you're looking for, right? You can adjust the spread. So if you want more intense lighting, now you have it, right? So this is the lighting with like just an area light, right? So like this is actually a good example. Like some people that are making like shaders and things like that, they may say, oh my gosh, you know what? Like the shader looks really good like this in this thumbnail. And then they go and they add it to their object and they're like, what the heck, man? This looks horrible. And a lot of people get really frustrated really quickly because they don't understand that you have to light your scene properly. Like right now, this looks pretty cool. We have like a nice little area light. Now you might see something like this. Hold on. Might see something like this, like some backlighting right behind your subject, like this. And you might see a subject that's backlit like this, right? You might be like, wait a second, that lighting looks completely different than mine. Why does my object not look correct, right? So lighting is super, super important for the results that you're looking to get. Just wanted to point that out. Again, I can't express it enough. I really can't. It just, your lighting is so, so important, right? Yeah, it looks cool, right? All right, let's see. Split RGB texture painting is crazy. Will those be the pearls? Can you reproduce the color shift effect? I think you can with thin film. Let me see. Let's see if I can. Where is it? Thin film. There it is. Thin film. Is it doing anything? Did that? I can't even tell if that did anything. Whoa. That's wild. I didn't realize you could do that with thin film. You know what you could do? Actually, a lot of people do this. You can do this. You can do a mixed shader with basically another one of these. Hold on. So you basically mix this back together with itself with a slight hue variation. Then what you do is you drive it with a layer weight. You can go like this. Try facing, hold on. Let me make this ridiculous. There we go. So now you can kind of see this. All right, so let's try this. All right, so now what you can see here is we have this really weird like color change material, and basically what it's doing is the layer weight is kind of taking almost like the outline or like the outskirts of the shader itself, and it's modifying it basically however we tell it to modify it. This looks a little better because it's a little more subtle, but if you want it to be like intense like this, you can do that, or you can switch it to facing. This one looks kind of cool because it's like, yeah, this one. You can see right here, the color ramp determines like where the fall off is, right? So you can kind of see I can crunch that contrast basically. Are you familiar? I never use light groups, never have. Probably never will. It's just I just don't have any use for it. I can see the use for it for like architectural things, but I personally never use them. So when one is shading, would you recommend to avoid material view? No, not at all. No, I like rendered view because I can see the actual result. Now, here's where I would use like material view. If I'm in material view here, you can still kind of see what's going on very quickly. I've actually found that sometimes material view can actually be slower, but if I'm adding like a brick texture and I want to really quickly change the scale of something, it might update quicker in material view. So there's a few times where I could see that being applicable. Right? Some details like normal maps are also good viewed. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things. There's really certain applications for it, right? So this is like kind of like the basis of like how I go about starting a shader. And then you can obviously like group things. So hold on. This really would be something separate. I also love the reroute node. I don't know if anyone ever uses it, but I love it. Helps me a lot. Yep. So you might have something like this. And the cool part is you can reorganize this however you want. You can compress it more, or you can really like get in there and compress everything. And everything scales in and out really nicely, just like it would in like the viewport. So that's also nice too. All right, let's make a, you know what would be a really cool material to make is like kind of like a fun clay material. Should we make a clay material, guys? Vote in the chat. Did you know that with shift clicking the header from the shader, the result will be viewed instantly? Really? That's interesting. Are you talking about the shader node, like the node itself? All right, we got Suzanne. Subdiv, always. All right, we are in material preview. So what I'm thinking for this one, what I'm thinking for this one is, first of all, let's make our clay maybe like a bluish color, okay? The biggest thing about clay is we want to have some surface like bump. So I'm gonna add a bump node. All right, we're gonna plug this into the normal because we're gonna be feeding a bump into a normal with a noise texture into the height. Now, if you look, when I adjust this, well, hold on, there we go. You can kind of see right now we're already getting results. Now, if I adjust the scale, you can already see how we're getting some interesting results. Yep, let's see what this looks like in rendered view with an area light. All right, let's go to cycles, GPU. There we go. All right, so already we're getting some interesting results with the actual noise shader itself. So one of the things to consider is like how you want your clay to look and like how you want your user to define how your clay looks. So a lot of things to consider here. Let me get some light on the scene so we can really make this thing look interesting. All right, so far roughness should probably be higher. Also going to reduce this. Awesome. And I think I'm going to go ahead and adjust my detail a little bit. There we go. My scale. All right, so now you can start to see, look, see how we're getting like a different texture on the surface? This is where you can start to say, okay, wait a second. Now I can distort this. Wait a minute. I can now scale this down. Now I'm getting this really subtle like surface texture. And maybe it doesn't look like clay, maybe it does, but it's starting to look like something that we can work with. And we can start to make this feel like a interesting object, right? And then what we also want to do is maybe adjust our roughness, maybe lower it a little bit. It's pretty subtle right now, so we can adjust the strength if we feel like we want to. But now you can start to see we're getting that like surface effect. And it almost looks like slate in a way, but it also looks like something organic because we're getting that natural bump, right? Which is awesome. I'm going to save this real quick as clay. Another really important thing with clay, or like if you want it to look like clay, is the actual lighting. And we're going to talk about that next. So with lighting, with clay, let's do this. Let's get a good area light off to the left. We're going to reduce our strength of our HDRI. I'm going to take my area light and apply like 200 to it. And look, see how you can already see like a big difference in the presentation of the material? Totally different, right? Totally different. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll bring one down below like this, right? And then they'll have one over here pointing directly at the object. This one will be a little bit smaller like this. This will be more of like a fill light. You can do like 50 on this guy, right? Spread doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Something like that might work. Even 20 might be fine. So now you have your fill light, right? This is without, this is with. And then down here, the bottom one, this is where you have like your intense lighting, right? And then some people will move it behind the object even more. So now it's giving these like highlights down here underneath. And this gives you like this really like dynamic lighting, right? And then you can kind of start to build out your material a little bit more. All right, let's go back to shading tab. Let's go to the front view, click on my object. All right, so here's where things get interesting, right? Notice how when I adjusted this roughness, it looks wet, right? The clay looks like wet clay. We can adjust this roughness with a noise texture to kind of give us like some variation in our surface. So I can literally just do this, right? You've seen it, right? Color ramp, plug it in there. For the black, we might want to like raise this up a little bit. But now you have this like interesting dynamic where, okay, now your roughness is determined by a noise texture as well. You can kind of see that noise texture right here. Do this so you guys can really see it. There we go. There you go. Now you got something interesting here, right? Where you have like some variation in that surface texture. Compositor glares, yep, you can add that as well. Floating dust particles would be cool. Yeah, we can also do floating dust particles. There's a lot that you can do in Blender, obviously. So we can add more things to our scene to make it look a little bit more dynamic. But like this is like overall how I would go about like maybe a clay material. And just to show you that this does work on anything, I'm going to add a UV sphere in here. And look at that. Little ball of clay, right? And then remember, guys, we have complete control over the scale of the clay texture and the intensity of the surface, like if we want it to look more like pressed in. Now there's even more we can do, right? You guys should know this by now. There's even more. What we can also do is we can distort this with geometry nodes or with a displacement modifier. For example, shade this smooth. I can go in here, can add a displacement modifier with a new setup. I'll choose clouds, right? Or really anything I want to. You can adjust the size of it here. And then what you can do is adjust the strength of it here. And now what do we have? Now we have something that's morphed, right? With displacement. So now we have this like tangible thing that now is like morphed with our displacement modifier. Right? We can adjust, we can do what we need to do. Now we have this piece of clay that looks pretty cool. And then it's like, okay, do you take that and then do you just do you take like a face or a hand or something cool and make it look like it's wrapped in clay, or you have it like pressed in like clay? And that's another thing that we can do is we can go to geometry nodes, right? And we can say, you know what? I want to do this with geometry nodes. I want to create a new setup and I want to set the position of my object, right? I'll show you what we're going to do here. All right, so what I'll do is I will just set up like a noise texture. I'll plug it into the offset, scale it down a bunch. And now look what we have. We have an ability to distort this now. Now this is a little bit too intense. So we may kind of come down here and say, okay, we need to adjust this, right? Or maybe we only do it on one axis, right? See something here. Got to be careful though, because if you distort it too much, you get like some weird geometry. See, we're getting weird geometry over here. All right, let's do the, oh, you know what we, actually, I'm stupid. You know what we can do first? We can do mesh to volume. And then volume to mesh. Oh my gosh. There it is. Perfect. All right, now what we'll do is now we can adjust. Show you this. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So now what we can do is we can be like, oh, you know what? I want our sphere to look like this, or I want it to be more dense or less dense. And what's really cool about this is we can smooth it out afterwards. So we can say smooth geometry here, and we can re-smooth it out if we need to. And then you can adjust the threshold here to kind of get a cool result. In fact, let me do set position here. It's so much fun to do this. Look at that. Let's see, voxel amount higher. So now you have this clay, this tangible clay. Roughness, detail. This is going to be cool. Hold on. Let me see. Yep. GPU specs. RTX 3070 Ti. It's missing is some cracks and it'll look handmade. Oh, yeah. That's actually a good idea. We can try something like that. Yep. Let me just see something. I want to see if we can get this denser. Higher voxel amount. There we go. Now we're getting the distortion I was looking for. So now we can really adjust it with our noise texture. Right? No distortion. Wait, what the heck? For some reason, distortion actually helps a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, it's starting to look a little bit more like clay. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. And what I love about this is we can duplicate this, right? And then what we can do is just like change the colorway. We could literally right now make an entire like setup of like make this clay. You know what I mean? Like make it clay. So like again, example. And I don't know if it'll work now with the monkey again. We can try it. So okay, this is actually good that we're trying this. Notice what it does to the monkey. A little bit too much, right? Might be the smooth geometry. Let me see. Or it's the intensity of this. Hold on. Gotta be careful because we're getting mixed results. Okay. Poor Suzanne. Suzanne did not ask for this. You get the rough idea. It doesn't work horribly, but we have to really work on this like remesh situation here. Yeah, we're gonna have to work on. Is it the roughness here? What is happening? I don't understand how the distortion would actually make it. Oh, you would think less distortion would be better. What is happening, bro? Suzanne, are you okay? Oh my God, bro. It's crazy, bro. I just wanted some simple surface deformation. That's all a guy was asking for. Oh my God, bro. All right, anyway. What was I about to do? Oh, the cracks in the surface. Let me think about how I would do that. Yeah, I guess there should be cracks in the clay, shouldn't there? Let me see. I don't usually do like the displacement modifier, but I guess we could try it. Displacement with like, I don't know, maybe a Voronoi. I'm not sure if this is how you do it. I don't normally mess with the displacement much. We can try it though. Color into the normal, into the displacement. Is there anything you need to know in particular? Oh yeah, GPU. Yeah, I thought I put the GPU specs in there. No. I wonder if we can. Hold on, let me think. Can we make the cracks with? I guess you could do another normal map on top of this normal map. Thinking. Hold on. There's a lot of ways you could do that. You could also do cell fracture. I mean, you could do a cell fracture, like remesh type of thing. Oh my gosh, there's so much you can do with this, bro. Let me see if I can do a vector add. I want to do vector add. I think I do. I want to add this. Yep, but I want the distance to the edge. And I want to do color ramp here. Needs to technically be like inverted. Yeah, there we go. All right, now what we need to do is we need to do a larger scale. Some detail in there. High roughness. I feel like that doesn't really look like what I wanted it to look like, but it's a start. Like, it's a start. Let me see. It is definitely a start. I mean, this, yeah, okay, like maybe for like cracked clay, maybe. I wonder, I'm just curious. Let's do this. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Does having this go from mesh to volume and then volume to mesh affect the shading and the deformation? Maybe a little bit, yeah. I mean, but that's kind of the point, because I want to affect like the original mesh, right? I really don't like love the way this is looking. Yeah, I don't love it. I don't think it really necessarily looks like clay. Just because I don't know. I don't know if it's the I don't know what it is about this that I just don't love. It's cool. Like, it's a cool concept for this. The important thing is really this part here. Yep. Either way, pretty awesome so far. All right, let me see something. Yeah, but it looks like a football. I know it does. That's a. You know, it's funny. You could probably imagine modeling something like that, but like procedurally, that would be pretty cool. All right, taking new requests, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and pop into the chat. Let us know what is it that you want to see. We're gonna go ahead and start a Q&A. Comment what you want to see next. Starting the Q&A now. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty. All right, what did we learn here? Oh my goodness, why? All right, here we go. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for waiting so much. Here we go. I think it didn't like save what you guys said, but I thought I saw something about shimmer or something like that. Is that? Can you guys comment and let me know what it is that you were saying down there? I missed the comments. That's so annoying. Sorry, just comment one more time, guys. I'm sorry. Someone was asking how to bend a plane in geometry nodes. That's actually pretty easy. You just take, you take a grid. And then what you do is you make the grid maybe a little bit bigger with some vertices here. You take that, right? And then you simply do a set position. All right. We'll set the position of maybe like, we'll do wave texture, that's fine. We'll just literally do this wave texture, plug this into a combine XYZ. We'll do Z, plug into the offset, and then look, we can automatically adjust the scale of the wave texture. This is really all you have to do, more or less. And then if you really want to like smooth it out, you can do smooth geometry. Right? Crazy because you could actually like make like a modeling workflow with geometry nodes. There's so much you can do with geometry nodes, dude. It's like insane. I think I kind of want to like build a product live with you guys. Like I want to build a new product for Superhive. Anybody else feeling that? Like build a new product? No? Maybe? What will be like a really useful product for Blender? I was thinking, I think the other day I had an idea. Was it something about nodes? I just completely forget. Force field shimmer from Annihilation or a lightning storm. Oh, lightning storm could be kind of cool. All right, let's do. We could do a lightning storm real quick. I'm actually going to do a lightning storm in geometry nodes. So pay close attention, guys, because this is going to be a cool one. Again, we'll start with the grid because I want the lightning to like emanate from somewhere. We'll make the grid like 10 by 10, give it a fair amount of vertices. We'll do a little instance on points type of thing. And then for our instance object, I think I'll do, for like the lightning bolt, I think I'll just do a curved line. And then for the selection, I want this to be random. So I'll do a random value. But in this case, I think I'll do a Boolean. Yeah. So now what it'll do is it'll randomly select different areas on here. All right, now for the curved line, I want to set the position of the offset of our X. In this case, I think I want to do is a noise texture. And I'll do combine XYZ. We'll do X. That's good. Now, right now, the curved line doesn't really have any sense of like where it is. So I think I'll do a resample curve. Yeah, there we go. Resample curve. Give it a lot, right? And now in this case, I think I want it to go. Try, is it Z? There we go. Okay, Z offset. No, it should be setting the position. Why isn't it working? Is it the offset of the Y? There it is. Or is it the X? Okay, there we go. All right, so here's like our lightning bolts, if you will, right? Now, here's what's cool about these. We can adjust, well, we'll adjust this in a minute, but we can actually adjust the randomness of these. So we can go here and like for the lightning, we could do like a scale instances, right? All right, let's do scale instances. Let's do random. Perfect. Now we have like different sized lightning, right? And for where the lightning is coming from, we want it to come from up top. That's fine. Probably want the lightning to be a little bit taller, right? It's just, I'm like thinking this through, like if I was making a lightning generator, like maybe how I would go about doing this. Now we kind of want it to like switch different areas for our lightning. Yeah, we want it to switch different areas. Like we want it to kind of like go through and pick different spots randomly. So I think, look, for the seed, we can kind of choose where the lightning comes from. I think for this, I'll do like really, really low number. Yeah. So for the seed, I think I'll do frame. Just plug that into the seed. So now when we press play, this is like where the pieces are going to come from. So the seed is generated by the frame. So this is going to give us like random bolts. Does that make sense? And then what we do, make this more interesting. Now what we do is we will randomly rotate them. Again, random value. But I think I only want to rotate them randomly on the Z. So we'll do this. They should be not local space, though. They should be... That's weird. Oh, I might have to realize the instances first. Now, that's... Why isn't it rotating from the original anchor point? Hold on, let me see something. I guess it technically is kind of working. This is wild. Unbelievable. That's crazy looking. All right, we don't really want that though. All right, hold on. I got a better idea. We also need the lightning bolt to come down, and then something comes off of the lightning bolt as well. So we might need a simulation zone for this. So far, it's looking really interesting though, especially when you like mess with the scale of this, right? You know what? I'm thinking there might be a better way to do this. Hold on, let me think for a second. It's like, oh, you know what you want? You want the endpoint. Hold up. Endpoint selection. Yeah, you want the endpoint selection to move around. So I think, can I do this? Hold on. Oh, yeah, we can. So now we can move the endpoint. Hold up. We can move the endpoint randomly before we resample it. Hold up. What if we move the endpoint before we resample it and just have it move a different endpoint randomly? Make sense? So the offset is going to change randomly on each frame from a noise texture. I think this will work. I don't know if this is going to work or not. We can try it. All right, it's kind of working a little bit, but I want the endpoint to change per thing. So I want each endpoint to be different. Okay. That's the endpoint. That's changing, but I want the original place of the curve line to stay the same. So I wonder if I can just do this. No, I can't. It's not going to work like that. Let me think. You know why? It's because it's not for every single instance. I think that's why. Oh, can I do translate instances? But I can't choose the endpoint if they're not realized. Let me see something. Realize instances. Set position. I wonder if I can set it right here. Let me do this. I think this might work. I think. Let me see. This is the end point. This is the offset. This is not what I intended. This is not what I meant for it to be for the lightning generator. It looks interesting though. I kind of want to explore something a little bit different for the lightning generator. I do wonder if we do a simulation zone. Okay, and then we just plug this in here. What if we do this instead? I want to choose a random point on here. I think I'm going to do simulation zone. Hold on. I'm going to do mesh to points. And I am going to I'm going to do this. I'm going to have it like choose a random point each time. So I'm going to say delete geometry, and it's going to delete random value each time. But not a random value. It's going to delete a random boolean. What if it did this? What if it rejoined with itself? Hold on. Can this be driven by the frame for the seed? Oh, it just deletes everything altogether. What if it didn't? What if it just generated points? Oh, what if it distributed points on faces instead of deleting geometry? Can I do that? Distribute points on faces. Can I do that? But then for the value, we do a random value. Hold up. Oh, there we go. All right, now we do a frame for the seed. Why are we getting an error? Point cloud. Let me try this. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so now we're having random points being animated in. This is what I was looking for. All right, so we have random points being animated in. Let me just do this. And then on each one of those points, I basically want to instance lightning and have it connect to like a random point, right? So there they are. I want it to be, oh, I know what to do. Hold on. We need two of these. We need this guy, and then we need to do it again, and we need to reroute this. But for these points, they're going to be below and reverse. No. Hold on. I'm going to do this. I'm gonna have the random offset right here. This is gonna be the like random offset, and we'll just multiply it by 3. It really doesn't matter. This is just the seed, right? So now we have 2 distributions of points, and we're gonna rejoin them back together. However, we are going to we're gonna have to capture the index of the grid too. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the position of this top one here. I'm gonna raise it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna rejoin this back together. All right, so now we have two pieces here, right? We have, and I'm going to adjust the density. We have top pieces here. The density really needs to be the same technically, I guess. And we have the bottom. We're going to see if we can link these together, right? Also, this is way too fast, so I'm going to multiply this by a small number. Same with this guy. Why is it being weird? Is it getting the exact same ones? It is. All right, then we don't want that. We want to just add 1. There we go. So we'll speed this up, and we can speed this up. So I'm going to call this whatever. So these 2 points, we want to connect them with a curve. So we want to do mesh our points to curves, right? However, we want to see how they're like kind of connecting like lightning, but we want to connect each individual indice. All right, check this out. This is where things get really interesting. We have this curve group ID. We need to actually take our grid. I'm going to reroute this. Before we plug it into anything, we need to capture the attribute. And the attribute that we're going to capture is we need stored named attribute. I'm sorry, stored named attribute. and we want to store the index of, it's an integer, and we have a point, that's fine, we'll just call this lightning, okay? And then if we go over here, we can say named attribute, type is integer, lightning. Let's see if this works. It's not working. Why? Should be working. Unless, hold on. Those are points, points to curves. We have the integer attribute, yes. Curve to mesh. We don't have. It's not working for some reason, but I'm going to find out why. Oh, I know why it's not working. It's not working because we're capturing. We need to store both of these. We need to store it, I think, after distributing the points. See if that works. Did that work? No, it didn't. That's really weird. It should be just storing it as an integer. Let me think about this. I really genuinely thought this was going to work, and it's not working. Let me just think about why it's not working, because I've done this many, many times before. This is really weird. Should be connecting each point into a at least into a continuous loop, but it's not, and that's really weird that it's not doing that. Do you say Shidori? What does that mean? The grid, you set the position of the grid. Or do I need to take two different indices and combine them? No, that wouldn't make sense. Or do I do 1, 2? Hold on. All right, this one's gonna frustrate me, so I'm moving on to something different. I'm gonna have to do more research on that one, but that's like the general process of how I would do it. The other way is obviously with like you could do particle. You could potentially do a particle emitter, or I think geometry nodes is like the way to do it though. I'm just trying to think about why that was not working. Why the heck wasn't that, bro? Why wasn't that working? All right, we'll do one final request, ladies and gentlemen. What does everybody have? And also, don't forget, guys, check out Superhive. We do have a sale going on right now, summer sale. And you already know that we have our core fundamentals, and it's on sale. Check that out as well. Naruto Jutsu. When he's like in flames there. All right, let's see. God, we have so many Blender files that we've gone through. Oh, you know what I'm going to show you guys? You guys want to see something really cool? We're going to do a shrink wrap. You guys ready to see a shrink wrap? This will allow you to shrink wrap any object. Ready for this one? I don't think you're ready. I do not think that you're ready, bro. All right, so very first thing we need is a something to turn into a basically a like a cloth. You know what's funny? I have this entire setup, and I'm gonna show you guys. I see if I can recreate it. I need my MacBook. Where's my MacBook? It's upstairs. We need cloth dynamics. So we're going to turn this into a cloth. We press play, nothing happens, right? It kind of just falls. We need to make sure our effectors are all set in the same area. And if I wanted to add an effector, I could add a cube here, and I could make it into an effector by making it a collider. Then you can go here. Oh, I also need to show it. So let me join the geometry so you can see it. And I am going to move it down, set position. See how it collides? See how it collided here? All right, awesome. Looking good so far. Let's go ahead and back this up. All right, now you can see that our cloth is acting as it should. Now, yes, this is really weird because right now this is just like a sphere. But if we add a grid, for example, there it is. Let's give it 100 by 100, and let's give it 3 by 3. So now the grid is going to fall on the cube, and it's stretching too much, so we'll do 0.1, 0.1. We'll back it up. There we go. So there's your cloth dynamics. That's how you set that up. Now let me go get my MacBook real quick. All right, I'll be right back. Let me get my MacBook. All right, so here's what we're going to do. You guys are going to think this is really cool, I think. So I'm going to open up. We're basically making a shrink wrap modifier. I just need to get one thing out of here. There we go. Okay, so here's the cool part about this. We can actually make force fields. So right now we have gravity turned on. I'm going to turn gravity off because we don't need it. Now watch what happens. When we turn gravity off, the cloth just sits there, right? But here is where things get really interesting. We can do something called combined bundle, or not combined bundle. Where is it? Combine oh, it is combined bundle. Oh, I already had the right thing. All right, combined bundle, right? And these are going to be effectors. So right now, this right here is just our collider. This is the thing that collides with our cloth simulation, but you can also do a custom force. Check this out. You can add a custom force here, and we can actually pull this thing down if we want to. So now, right now, we have this is a custom force field, and it's pulling down on the Z-axis. But what if we wanted to do something a little bit different? I'm going to group this. Oopsies. Did not mean to do that. I'm going to just do this. We need the position, all right? We also need to know where we're pulling this towards. In my case, I'm going to add a different object to our scene that we can target. I'll just add a sphere. That's fine. It actually doesn't even have to be a real object. It can just be something like this. We need something to get a position from. So we need to basically subtract one from the other to kind of get almost like the central. So we'll do subtract, vector math subtract. We're going to subtract the location. Yep, location here from the position. We're going to take that, normalize it, and then scale it. Scale it. Now the scale is basically going to allow us to determine the, also we want this to be relative. The scale is going to allow us to determine if it's pulling or pushing. So right now, if we press play, it's pulling our cloth towards that central area, right? So now it's pulling inwards. Now that we know how to pull or push the cloth, now what we can do is we can actually take this concept and we can shrink wrap any object that we want to. This is going to get really cool. Let's go ahead and show you guys an example. All right, so we're going to set this up really custom so that it's like almost like a product. Like let's say you were making like a shrink wrappable product. This is where things get really interesting, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add a cube. Just bring it up here. I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'll just go to face, extrude individual faces. I kind of just want to make, there we go. I want to make this like weird like cube looking thing. This is perfect because this will allow us to see like our actual shrink wrap in action. Perfect. So now that I have my objects, I'm going to call this testing. Okay, I'm actually going to hide this because I don't need it here. I'm going to go ahead and hide my my cube as well, because I don't really need that anymore, because our collider is going to turn into the thing that we want it to be, which will actually end up being this testing object. So I'm going to do object info. You guys are going to think this is really cool, I think. I'm going to give the user the option to like select the object that they want. We want the relative geometry of this object, and we're going to turn this into a collider. We're going to put the collider right here. Now, if we press play, we should get a collision. Are we getting a collision? Oh, we have to select our object. Duh. Geometry, yep. Geometry cannot be retrieved from the modifier object. Oh, because we didn't. Why? Why can't it be retrieved from it? What do you mean, bro? Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. So now you can see it's reacting. Perfect. But we want to surround this thing with itself. This is going to be kind of complex, but just see if you can pay attention to this. We're going to take this geometry, and we're actually going to make this geometry the cloth dynamic. I know. Doesn't make sense, right? Because why would that be the cloth? But just hear me out. We're going to actually take this. We're going to transform the geometry. So this is the actual cross thing that we just made. We're going to scale this up by a value of like, I don't know, 1.2. Now, when I press play, you can see that it's like kind of working. It's kind of just falling through. One of the things we want to do is we actually want to like basically remesh this object so that it can like shrink wrap to itself. Now, just to show you a quick example of what we're actually going to end up doing here. Just add a UV sphere real quick. I'm going to show you what this is going to look like. So if this is sort of what it's going to end up looking like. Now, right now, you can't really tell what's going on because we need to adjust our scale. You can see it's kind of hovering. It's kind of falling, right? Let's go ahead and do 50 for the force. There you go. Now you can kind of see what's happening here. All right, now another thing we want to do real quick is we want to check to see where this empty is. Put that in the middle. Go back. All right, now when it comes to UV spheres, they're kind of weird objects, so I'm going to do an icosphere instead with a bunch of subdivisions. There we go. Now when we press play, you can kind of see how it's moving a little bit. I'm going to adjust the stretchiness and the bendiness. There we go. Now you can kind of see. All right, so now what it's going to do is it's going to pull this thing in on itself, but we actually don't want it to be a icosphere. We want it to be the actual object itself. So let me see how I did that. I'm pretty sure I did a mesh to volume, volume to mesh type of thing. Yep, there it is. Yep, object. Okay, so I took my object, my original object, turned it into a collider. Yep, and then I also did transform geometry, convex hull, mesh to volume. Okay, cool. All right, so what we're going to do is instead of the icosphere, we're going to do transform geometry, which we already did. We're going to do convex hull. I'm going to go back to the start. Now we have a convex hull of our object. Then what I did is mesh to volume, volume to mesh. Yep, and this is going to basically remesh it. Mesh to volume, volume to mesh. Awesome. Now we remeshed it, and now look. See what we have now? Now we have shrink wrapping, and now it's up to us to decide what the end result is going to look like. Now let's let this play through and reset. See how we're having this like sort of like shrink wrap effect now? This is where it starts to get interesting. Let's see, 0.2. Oh, what did I use? 40 and 1 and 0.2. Okay, good. We're good. And then afterwards, I believe I smoothed it out. Yep, I did smooth geometry. Yeah, this is going to look really cool. All right, so we're going to press play. Notice how it's like kind of working. It's kind of being a little bit weird right now. Let's do 50. There we go. You guys see what's happening here? Now you get to decide how much it bends or how much it doesn't. I think for bending, we'll do 0.5. What did I have stretchiness to? Yeah, this looks good. Perfect. Now, another thing, the collision margin. The margin will set to 0.1. We'll set this back. Notice how now it's kind of like shrink wrapping like in the way that we actually want it to. So it's shrink wrapping down. Now we just need to smooth out this this effect. We need to do smooth geometry, right? Now look what we have. We have shrink wrapping. Pretty cool, right? Now you're probably thinking, well, that's cool, but does it work on any object? Of course it does, because we made it for any object. So here's our monkey. We're going to hide our monkey. We're going to reset this thing, and we're going to go to Suzanne the monkey. Look at that. Shrink wrap works on the Suzanne as well. How stinking awesome is that? And yes, we have both meshes. You guys see this? How cool is that, right? All simulated. And if you want higher density of the mesh, you go back here. You can say, you know what? Subdivision surface. It's going to be a little slower, but it still should work. Look at that. Let's try a different object. How about a... I don't know. A cylinder. I mean, the cylinder. There's really not much like with a cylinder that you can. I don't know. Maybe a cylinder is a stupid example. Honestly, I thought the coolest example was this testing thing we had. I mean, how cool is that? We have a shrink wrap. I just showed you guys how to make a complete shrink wrap modifier. Pretty darn cool, right? I think it is. And then you can kind of come in here and be like, okay, it's time to give this some materials. Let's give this a red material, or how about a blue material for the inside, which is our collider. So set material. We'll do blue for the inside. Also, I'm going to need some environment texture on here. We'll do GPU. All right, and then we'll do one more material. And then for this next material, it's going to be a glass. And I'll just go ahead and set the material over here. Now, if we turn this down. Oh, obviously shade smooth for everything. Boom, look at that. Now we have a shrink wrap modifier. Before, after. How awesome is that? Pretty stinking cool, huh? I don't know if you guys, can you guys see that okay? We just literally made it a shrink wrap modifier. I can't even tell if people are still watching. I guess people are, I don't know. But, let's see. Roughness kind of adds to it a little bit, honestly. There we go. You can see it better from here. So back it up. Starts like that. Shrink wrap. Pretty darn cool. And then obviously if you want to, you could kind of come in here. You can make this a principal BSDF. You can with transmission like pretty high. And then you just go in here, you adjust your coat. Now you kind of have this like shrink wrap type of thing going on. What do you guys think? Is this cool or not cool? I think it's pretty awesome. Nobody? Nothing? I can't tell if you guys are even... is the stream frozen or are you guys just watching and just like, wow, this is so cool? I can't tell. All right. All right. That's pretty much the only other thing I wanted to show you guys is the shrink wrap. And I thought that was kind of a cool effect because you can pretty much do it with anything. Like if we go back, like I said, and you add Suzanne in there instead, and you press play, you're shrink wrapping. I think it's awesome. Now, could it be better? Yes. Yeah, I think it could be, but it is what it is, right? All right, guys. That's it for today's live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a ton of fun. It is time to shut things down. I'm turning off the light. I'm turning off the live stream. You're at a loss for words. I appreciate that. But it is time to shut things down. I had a ton of fun on this one. Yeah, this is a cool effect. If you guys ever want to try it out, I'll show you the nodes again. Very cool, right? There's your shrink wrap. Boom. There's your nodes.